Hey everyone, it's Mike here, and thanks for checking out my Excel videos. This is going to be one of three. This is part one. There'll be a part two and part three out there also. And what this is going to be everything in Excel basically to learn except for formulas. I'm going to create videos on those too, but there's a lot to learn in Excel. And we're going to talk about pivot tables. We're going to talk about charts. We're going to talk about auto filters. We're going to talk about the quick access ribbon, all that stuff that everybody needs to know in Excel, but is not formulas. I wanted to keep that very separate. So definitely check out these videos, and I'll mention it throughout the videos that hey, if you guys find any better way or know of any better way to do things than what I've shown right now, maybe you know of a way that you could be even more efficient, and I love to be efficient. So you guys help me out, throw something in the comments, and then, it all goes around and around. So you help me, we'll help you out. You help me, and it helps everybody out. So make sure you voice out, all right?
Hey everyone, it's Mike here, and today we're going to talk about every single thing you ever wanted to know in Excel, and probably even more. So sit tight and get ready to learn. So first things first, if you're new to Excel or you've been in here a while, the first thing you're going to want to do is we're going to go through the options. So we're not going to go through all the options, so let's just go through the most common ones. So let's go to the top left File tab here, and then in the bottom left you see this Options right here. So under the General tab, you guys can go through here on your own time, play around with it, what works, what doesn't work. If you don't understand something, always shoot me a comment, and I can walk through whatever you're interested in learning. But so this is the default font. So I'm in Excel 2016. Depending on if you're in Excel 13, 2010, 2007, or whatever it is, there's probably going to be a different default font. Just a matter of who's paying Microsoft enough money that year. So a lot of companies like using Arial. Arial's a nice standard through most of the world, I believe. And also Times New Roman is another font that people like. So you'll see that down below also. So there's a ton of fonts. And a font, if you don't know, font is just how the words, how it's written, just kind of like the difference between cursive and non-cursive in print. So it's just a matter of how it looks. So you can play around with that on your own, different fonts. And the font size, how big the font characters actually are. So you don't want to get too big unless you have really bad eyes, and you can start with like an 18 font. But we're gonna stick with size 11 font. That's the standard. And this include how many sheets. This is nice because the standard, I believe, is 3. So this will come as 3 when you first open Excel. Problem with this is a waste because most people don't use 3 sheets if they're opening a new book. So let me show you what the difference is here. So if I start at 3 sheets, and I have to close Excel, of course. So let me close Excel. I'll open a new book, and you see how I have on the bottom here, I have sheet 1, sheet 2, and sheet 3. This is wasted because all I really need is 1 sheet. If I want another sheet, then I'll click this little button right here that says new sheet, and then I got sheet 4 now, and you can move it around. So, but I don't want to see that. What I want is I only want to have. So I'm going to go back to options and change this to 1. So now when I open up an Excel book, it's only going to have 1 sheet here. And then if I wanted to add 2 sheets, there I go. This way it's, I'm all about simplicity and keeping things as simple as possible. I don't want to see extra stuff there if it doesn't help the file. There's no meaning for it. And especially your coworkers don't want to see extra sheets too. I'll tell you that right now. So what we're going to do now is go back to sheet 1 sheets. That's the best way to do it. And let's see, anything else that's important here? We'll go to formulas. Formulas, you want to make sure it's on automatic as far as the workbook calculation. The only reason you would use a manual calculation is if your file if your file's really big. So we're talking like at least 100 megs or more, and you have a lot of Excel calculations. So you're doing VLOOKUPs and if statements and sum ifs. You're doing a lot of powerful calculations, and it takes a long time. Sometimes when I'm working in files, I click it on manual. It's very rare, but one time I do it on manuals because once I click enter, my formulas, can be like 13 lines long. And because of that, I'll do it on manuals because I don't want to calculate every single time I press enter. Every time I'm done with one formula, I want to update the entire sheet, and then I'll say, okay, calculate it all at once. So if it's set on manual, you can click there's a calculate button in the up here in the formulas tab, but we can go through that later. Or you could just hit F9. But for right now, let's keep this on automatic. And this is another one. You want to make sure this box is checked off. This is just telling you, okay, when you work with formulas, if you check this, A1, see the cell right here? This cell is actually A1 that I'm highlighting here. But if you click this R1, C1, this wouldn't be A1 anymore. It wouldn't know what that means. It would be R1, C1 for row 1, column 1. So it's, no one wants to see it like that. It's very rare. So, and then this box will be checked guaranteed. So definitely take this off. So it says use Getpivotdata functions for pivot table references. So I'll go through that later once we talk about pivot tables. But for now, definitely uncheck this box. I haven't found really a reason to have it checked yet, just because it doesn't add any benefit in my opinion. And again, I'll show you why later on. And proofing. So this is where you can add like custom dictionaries. So if you wanted to add a different dictionary for whatever reason, you could add autocorrect options. You could, so when you do a spell check, you can do spell, just like in Word, Excel can do a spell check, but, it's not as common in Excel, but this way you can ignore uppercase, lowercase, you can do whatever you want. You can mix and match in here. You can add stuff to your dictionary also. The save. So the save is kind of nice because this button here, if you're working with very large files, this is Autorecover. So let's say you're working on a very large file and you didn't save it. This is very common. If you did not save your work and something happened, whether you lost power or something crashed, when you come back into Excel and you can't log in, basically Excel crashes and freezes. This happens a lot, especially with large files. So this is saved. So right now I have it saving. It's going to back it up and save it every 10 minutes on its own. Sure, that takes some time. If I'm working in it, it's going to do it every 10 minutes. So, it's good and bad to everything. I always say pros and cons. So if you want to take it off, you can take it off for just this file and stuff like that. So if it crashes and you have this Autorecover on, you come back, let's say an hour later, and you can't get in, it freezes. Once you close Excel, as soon as you open it again, you'll see a little tab on the left that'll come up and say, hey, do you want to revert back to the last saved auto-saved version? So it won't be the saved version like you have it on your computer or your LAN or whatever you're working with or your server. It'll be just sitting here in Excel, and then you can resave it. So you won't lose all your work that you've been working on the last, let's just say a couple hours. You won't lose everything. You'll lose just a much less. It's like you hit save every 10 minutes. Language, nothing special. Advanced. One more thing we'll talk about is advanced. So when you scroll all the way down, this is a interesting thing that I've recently come upon. So when you scroll down, when calculating this workbook, you see where it says set precision as displayed. It's a very interesting thing to talk about rounding. So when this is not checked, and by default it's not checked, it's rarely used, but I will talk about it because it is important if people want to do it. Usually for accounting purposes, or if your company prints stuff a lot and you print and stuff, and it has to add on paper versus adding in Excel. And you're like, whoa, what's the difference? Adding in paper and adding in Excel is going to be the same thing. So I'm going to leave it off, and I'm going to show you what's going to happen here. So I'm going to make this bigger so everybody can see it here. So I'm going to add, let's say 1.5 and 1.5. If I take these two 1.5s and I'm going to move the decimals over here. So these are how you can customize your formatting and stuff with your cells, or your numbers. So right now, it's really 1.5 in this cell, but I rounded it. I don't want to see the decimals, so I wanted it rounded like this. You do rounding to the thousands, rounding to 10,000s, you do whatever, 100,000s. So right here we have, technically it's 1.5 and 1.5. So when I do equals, if I do a sum here, and I sum these two, see how this looks? It looks like 2 plus 2, and this is the sum. This looks stupid. So your boss is going to be like, hey, check your formula here. So why do you have 2 plus 2 and then your sum is 4? This is not right. So, but realistically, it's, if you looked at it full, it's 1.5 plus 1.5 equals 3. So that is one of the bad things, I guess you can call it, of visually printing stuff that has decimals like this. So here's what I'm going to show you as an example. So I'm going to go back into the options here and go back into advanced, scroll down to this set precision as displayed, wherever you are, here you go. Data will permanently lose accuracy. Is this a scary thing to see or what? So some companies do this because of their reporting group. If they're publicly traded, especially, that's very important. See what just happened. So this way they have to do certain rounding, and then whatever they publish has to foot down, because if it doesn't foot, then they look stupid to the shareholders. So what it did was, so I put 1.5 here. Whoa, 1.5 and 1.5. Here I do my equals sum. So it equals 3, but watch what happens when I change this. See this 4? Look, it's just a matter of what's showing. And see what just happened is it undid it. So it actually changed these and forced these to 2. Even though I typed in 1.5 here, I typed in 1.5 again. As soon as I change this rounding, one more step, it automatically changes these to make this foot correctly going down. So now it changed these from 1.5 to 2, and now our sum is 4, and I got to change it here also. So we'll automatically force it to make sure everything going down adds correctly, and also going across adds correctly. So I'm not a fan of it, but sometimes you need it. Working in accounting, I have to use it on some of my spreadsheets, but I definitely do not like it. But there's always a case for when you need it. So now I have it off. Close this. And that is, I believe, the last thing in options that I wanted to discuss. Okay, now that we got Excel options covered, let's talk about our quick access toolbar, because everybody loves it, right? And of course, I'm kidding, everybody hates it. They hate this. They hate this ribbon up here. This is new. I want to say in 2007 is when they introduced this ribbon up here. So this is the ribbon which I'm hiding now and showing. So this is one thing. If you don't want to see this ribbon, this is your ribbon up here, this whole section here. So I have it automatically showing, so if I click down here, it's still up there. But if you were to double click anywhere up here, so if I double click the home, see how it automatically hide? And then it'll only show up if I clicked one of these, and then it'll hide again. So it gives me more real estate down here, so I can see more of what I'm working in. And let me make this a little bigger. All right. So sometimes it's nice, but I like to just be able to do quick seeing the icons that I want to do, because again, I like to be efficient. I like to be very quick with what I'm doing. I like to waste time and do extra clicks when I don't have to. So that's the quick little ribbon. You guys can play around with what's what in here. I'll go through a few of these things, but we're not going to go through everything in here. We are going to talk about, so this is the quick access ribbon right here. So this may be up on the top. So you may see it when you first open Excel. You're going to see up here, you're going to see this quick access ribbon, or quick access toolbar, excuse me. And what we're going to do is we're going to click on this down arrow. You're not going to have all these. You're probably just going to have these first 3. And then now I'm going to hit this down arrow where it says customize quick access toolbar. And these are the commonly used ones. So you have a new, which opens up a new Excel sheet. Open opens up, a new, any existing document that you have. Saves the file. I have undo and redo. I like to keep those because that's basically undo what you did, kind of like a back and a forward. So it undoes and then redoes what you just did. And you can have a sort, you can have anything in here. You can have print, quick print, email, or you can go to more commands. So first things, before we get to commands, I'm going to say, it says show below the ribbon. So I'm going to click show below the ribbon. So now it's, again, I talked about efficiency. I don't like to waste time if I don't have to. Instead of going all the way up to the top here, now I only have to go, if I'm working in here, I only have to go right here to hit my quick access toolbar. So very nice, I like it here. And I use this all the time. I use this more than I use stuff on the ribbon, to be honest. So if you wanted to add stuff in here, this is how to do it. So you go back into more commands. After this little down arrow, you go to more commands. And you can also get through Excel options like we were working before. But I like to do it through here. So this is going to give you all the popular commands like paste and copy and all this fun stuff. And this is already on the right side. This is already what we have. These are my standard ones that I like. And we'll go through all these at some point during this video. So if you wanted to copy these, this is probably a good get you started. And if you wanted to see something that is not in here, so most of mine are in here, but maybe some is not. So this, I added some, and you're like, hey, it's not in your popular commands. Oh, it is, actually is here. But let's say I wanted to add quick preview full screen. That's not in here, so it's not popular. So I have to go back here, and you can go to all commands here, and now you can see every single thing that you ever wanted to do in Excel. It's all here, so it's going to be in this list. So a lot of them you're not going to understand. A lot of them you're not going to need to understand, and you don't care about. So just add the ones that you most frequently use. Like I like to have a sum. I do a lot of summing. Freeze panes, we'll talk about that, and printing. So these are all the ones that I like. So I'd recommend a very similar subset of these. All right, so that is the quick access toolbar. Next, we will talk about Excel pattern recognition, what I call it. So Excel, let's make a new sheet here. So Excel automatically basically Excel is smart. It knows how to recognize patterns. So one of the ways it recognizes pattern, so let's say we type in January here. And we can type in the full word, January. So if I take this, so this very bottom right, so when I hover, I'm gonna make this bigger for you too right now. So when I hover over this, over January, this box, see where it's bolded? It kind of looks like it's bolded around, it's got the box around it. So if I were to left click on the top or the right side or anywhere on this box, it's gonna take the data and move it. So it's gonna move from here to there. So that's how you can move it. It's the same as cutting it and pasting it. So which we'll get to in a little bit. So you see the only place where it's different is this very bottom right. You see how it's got a little box down there? So if you take this little box on the right and then you left click and hold down, it will drag it down. So it'll basically, this is how you copy down formulas or copy down numbers, copy down a lot of things. This is the most efficient way to copy. You can also copy, a couple of different ways, which we'll get to in a little bit. So right there, see what happened? I just dragged it down and it went to February, and I can do it again, go to March, and I can left click and I can still hold it down and see what happens. It's turning May, June, you see this word coming up, July, August. So it recognizes what it is. It recognizes, hey, you're doing months. So I'm gonna help you and I'm gonna automatically populate it for you. So if I want to do the whole year, so I can just write it, go all the way down, there's the whole year, January through December. Pretty nice, right? It also works if I went Jan and just typed in Jan, Feb, March. So this will work also if you just want to abbreviate. It'll also work if you do numbers. And if you have more than one number, it starts to recognize it. Because right now, it doesn't know if you want to copy it. So right now it's going to copy and say, hey, 1 and 1. So I'm going to do 1, 2. So if I do 1 and 2 and highlight them both, then I hit this bottom right, left click and drag, it's going to recognize that pattern and start increasing by the same difference as right here. So it's a 1 to, so the difference between 2 to 1 is 1. So it's saying, hey, you want to increase by 1 every time you go down. This is how I do my numbering. See 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So right there, see what just happened? It did that for me without, you know, me having to type it all in. This is a great way to do numbering. And one other way, even quicker than this, so let's say I'm over here and want to even drag down, copy and paste it. So let me make this a little bit smaller now so I can see all 12 months. All right, so what I can do now, instead of left click and holding down and going all the way down to the bottom of this list, keep in mind your list is probably going to be a lot bigger than this. I'm just using 12 for an example, but see on the bottom left here, okay, so on the bottom right here, see this little box again? Just double left click this box. See what just happened? That is a very nice feature to have in Excel. This is by far one of the most efficient things to do that you can do in Excel, and it impresses everybody. As soon as you show someone that, like, whoa, what'd you do? How'd you go back to that? You got to show me that trick. So this is a great feature to have. It's I call it like an auto-populate, auto-fill, we'll call it. So that's definitely a quick way to do it. And what it does is it will go down until it sees a space. So you can do this trick. It only works going down. If I wanted to go across, it will not auto-populate, because when you double click, it automatically goes down. See, it will not go to the right. If I try doing it and going to the right, it doesn't. It always goes down. Now, yes, I can grab January to the right, and then it'll start, you know, it recognizes that pattern, but you can't double click like I did before, which is the auto-populate, auto-fill. So this is the best way, most efficient way to do the copying down of formulas or patterns. And now let's say you have a pattern here that Excel doesn't know. Let's say, hey, every time I type in Mike, I want Dave to be following as a name, you know. Or if let's say I type in, so one thing I do at my work is I have this 2017-January. And normally this doesn't work. It doesn't recognize that 2017.jan, and then .feb would go after it. It doesn't know this. So let's see, do a quick test here. So if I did 2019, see how 2019 does not work? I put in a custom list to say, hey, only do this list that I put in. See, so I don't want to type in, you know, 2017 February, March, April, whatever. So what I did was I moved this. I did a custom list, and then what I did was I said, hey, you know, what if I want to see full year? So after December, I wanted to say full year after this. Obviously, Excel is not going to know this. You know, if I just deleted this and said, hey, after December, see, it's just going to go through the list again. It's going to go after December comes January. So what you could do is you go to File, Options. This is where you come to, let's see, where is it going to be? It is going to be in Lists. So that is, I like to find it through Advanced. So where's my quick lists? Here, I edit custom list under general, so it is under general. But I don't see it under here, so we'll go under advanced, go under general, edit custom lists right here. So these are the lists that Excel currently knows. So by default, it knows the days of the week, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, it knows that list, that's 7, and it knows the full name and the abbreviated name of the days of the week. And it knows January, February, like we talked about, and it knows the full months. So if you wanted to say, hey, I want to add full year to the end of it, or like I did here, see, this is my custom list that I made myself. See, I have 2017, 20, you know, all the months added to 2017. So this is how we do it in my company as far as we recognize periods. And then I have full year after it. So right now, because of this, after I copy this down from December, it's going to go full year because it says, hey, you already got your 12 months. There's your full year now. So now I can, add accordingly. So if I deleted this and had numbers here, then it'll sum down properly. So this is very nice to have, adding custom lists. So again, once we're in 2018, I'll make a 2018 list the same way. And actually, better yet, we'll do the exact same thing right now for you real quick. So I'll change this to FY just to mix things up, and then I'm gonna change these till next year once we're in 2018, because right now I don't have a need for it. So what I'm doing is I'm just doing a find replace real quick. So anytime it finds 2017, it's gonna change it to 2018. So we can get into find replace in a little bit. If you're curious now, you hit Control H, and that does find replace for you. So right there's my list, and including this FY, which is full year. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to File, Account, Advanced, and scroll down to this Edit Custom Lists. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add, so it's going to add a new list here. So now I'm going to hit Import. Take this full list here. Once I highlight that, I click this little box again. I say Import. And there's my list. And then I'm going to hit add. And now I hit OK. And now, once I type in 2018, if I could type it in properly, that would help. 2018 January, February, and there it is to the full year. And after full year, it'll start with January again, because that's my approved custom list. So again, very nice feature to have. I'm sure a lot of you are going to be using this for sure, whether it be, the most common use I can think of it is for dating purposes like this, but it can work with any list. If you have certain products you wanted to repeat over and over and you wanted to have the same subset or you in the same order. So nice feature to have. All right, the next topic we're going to talk about is going to be changing the column width or your row width. So one of the ways you can do this is just by highlighting. So we'll get rid of this data. We don't need this anymore. And so if you highlight all of column B by clicking on this big B up here, what you have is you're selecting the whole row. So you're saying, hey, what do you want to do to the whole row? If I hit delete, it'll delete the whole row, all the data in it. But what we want to do is change the column width. So let's say it's right here, and you can clearly see that you can't read the whole word of August. So you can right click on this B and then go to column width right here. And then right now it's saying, hey, the column width is 4.63. And if you want to change that to 10, that should be good enough. So this is now column width of 10. Or is changes from, instead of doing it here, you can, let's say it's back here. So you highlight the B, and then in between, you see how my cursor goes from right now, when I'm selected on the B, it's a down arrow. You can change this when you click in between when you hover over in between the B and the C. See the cursor changes from a down arrow to this little, it's almost like a plus, like a cross. So you can drag it, so you can just left click and drag it to however far you want. Or if you wanted to be really quick and efficient, like I love to be, what you do is instead of left clicking and dragging it over, you just double click, and then it goes and looks at every single record in your data in all of column B and say, hey, only make it as large as I need it to be. So the longest record shows. So, and what's nice, so let's say this is here and this is real big, so I can change all three of these the same way. Or if you really wanted to, hey, I can highlight up here instead of highlighting A, B, and C. Let's say I had more in D and E and F. Let's say I had 20 columns wide. So I can highlight here, which highlights every single thing on the entire worksheet. So all the rows, all the columns, every single bit of data. And now what you're gonna do is everything's gonna be you're gonna affect every single thing on the page. So you can double click in between any of these, in between D and E, you could do in between A and B and C, it doesn't really matter. But all you're gonna do is, I'll just do in between B and C because that's what we've been doing, and show you that it's gonna affect all three A, D, and C columns. So just double click in between and it says, hey, okay, it looks at every single one and says, hey, go back and figure out what the longest is and only make the column that wide. So that is how you change the column width. And the row width, you could do the same thing. You right click, go to row height, same type of thing. You can type in a number there, or you can, if it's this wide, you can double click it. And if these are, let's say these are all strings, you can also, while you have everything highlighted, just like we clicked, double clicked in between B and C, you can click, say in between 4 and 5. It'll change every single thing going down too. So you can change column width and row height, same type of thing. You can change it the same way. And then one more thing, so about how to change this. So let's say I have A, B, and C, and obviously A is the smallest, then C, and then B. But let's say, hey, I want everything the exact same width as column C. So what I would do is I would highlight the columns that I want to be the same. So I want just B and C. I want these two to be the same. So now I highlight C because C's the one I want. Excuse me, I'm gonna undo that. So I'm gonna mess with the right side of column C. So I'm gonna say, okay, I'm gonna left click it and say, okay, how big do I want it? Let's say I want it pretty much the exact same height actually. This is gonna change B and C, so the exact same width. So I'm gonna right click, go to column width. You see how it's 3.88 here? If I were to right click on column C, notice it's 3.88 also. So if I want to do A and B and I wanted to change A and B so they're both this large, I would click click the A, and now these two are the same width. And again, if I wanted all three to be the same width, I could click anywhere and right click at any one of these. And I'm changing them to be, let's change them all to be real small. So there's my A, B, and C, real small. Okay, so when I undo that, that is how you change your column row and width. Now let's look at freeze panes. So let's say I have a large list of data here. So I'm just gonna do a quick little copy over here. So if I wanted to see let's say I wanted to see the last row here, but I don't know what this $4,200 is because I don't see my header anymore. Here I know it's bonus, but let's say I'm scrolling down and I have so many columns that I don't remember which one's salary and which one's bonus. So once I scroll down, I can't tell what this $4,200 is because I don't remember. So what you can do is you can use freeze panes to do this. All right, so what you want to do is you want to highlight. So I highlight the row below it. So I highlight row 3 because row 2 is where my headers are. So I'll highlight row 3, and then I'll go to View, and I will go to Freeze Panes. So on this View tab, go to Freeze Panes, and then Freeze Panes here. And now what it does is it inserts this. You see this on the bottom of this? There's a faint yellow, faint line. So it goes all the way across. See, it just keeps going. See how this is different than down here? So it won't show up when you're printing. Don't worry about that. This line won't show up. It's just telling you, hey, you're freezing the panes right now. Or better yet, see how it's on. This is how it was before. And I like to use my quick access toolbar. So this is something I use a lot. This is my freeze panes right there. Same way. I basically took this button and moved it into my quick access toolbar. And that was shown at the beginning of this video if you did not see that part. So now when I scroll down, look what happens. This data basically, they call it, some people call it, it rolls, like it rolls into this, I don't know why, but you can kind of see how it kind of does that. So now when I look at $4,200, oh, I know that this is my bonus because these top 2 rows will never go away, no matter how far I scroll down. So pretty nice feature to have. I use it in a lot of spreadsheets. And now also, if you wanted to, let's say I had the same problem here, and I'm scrolling, I have, let's say I have bonus, I have these, I'm just gonna paste a whole bunch of these going sideways here. And so now, if I wanted to figure out what this column is over here, who this belongs to, let me just highlight this real quick, my bonus. So I wanted to see, okay, who's this for? This $4,900 right here. Who is this? What employee? Oh, it's for Jane Doe, but I can't see that without scrolling over because there's so many columns. So what you can do, and I still have my freeze panes on, it's going down. What you can now do is, so I'm gonna go to view, I'll do this the normal way, unfreeze panes. This will toggle back and forth if you have it on or not. And then I'm gonna highlight where I want it to freeze. So I wanna see first, I wanna see only the first name. So I'm gonna hit, now when I scroll over, I can see, hey, look at this $4,900. And see, now this data kind of rolls into this, see? So column A will never change. I will always see that no matter how far over I scroll. Eventually, it's the only thing I see. So, but if I wanted to see the first 2, I wanted to see the first, maybe I wanted to see the first 3, but I don't care about these. I only want to see the first 3. So I'm going to go to unfreeze panes to undo what I did before, and then I'm going to click right here. So this will basically be my intercept that I'm going to freeze panes at. So I'm going to freeze panes there. So you can see that this little bar, there's a bar in between C and D that goes all the way down here. And it's also below, in between 2 and 3 for the rows. And now when I scroll across, see all 3 rows. So this is all I see. So all 3 rows will not change if I scroll to the right. So now I can see the first name, department, last name, and I can, if I want to do a print, I can just see these 4 things. That's all I really care about is this last right, the most right column for whatever reason. So that's a nice feature to have. All right, next thing we're going to talk about is how to copy and paste special. These are the very common things you're going to use all the time when you're using Excel. So let's say I wanted to copy, or let's say, let me go to the new sheet real quick just to make it even easier. So make this real big. So I have $500 here. And make this all dollars here. So I have $500 there. I have $750 here. Let's say I wanted to copy the $750 so I don't have to type it in. So I can copy it. So I can right click, and then I go to copy up here, and then I click anywhere I want to not move it, but to paste it. So I'm going to right click, and then so you have cut, copy, and then you have paste options. So these are all different ways to paste data. So let's just hit paste. So there it is. It puts it in right there. So it copies the same data. Now, let me delete that. Instead of doing that, if I were to, another way you can copy is hitting Control C. And then if I want to click it here, I click anywhere over here, and I hit Control V as in Victor. So Control C like Charlie, and then Control V like Victor. So we'll go through the shortcuts in a little bit. I'll go through all the shortcuts you want to know in a few minutes. And now, let's say I had a formula here that says, hey, equals sum these. So we'll go through some in a few minutes here also. So here's what happens if I copy a formula and copy it over here. It's going to give me nothing. So the problem with that is because it's right now it's saying, hey, it's summing this, but you know that's nothing. So if I wanted to copy this $1,250, how would I copy it? If I want to take this number and move it somewhere else or copy it, just for spreadsheet reasons, which you do a lot. So what I would do is I would do a copy, and then let's just say I want to move it here. I would right click, see where it says paste special. So I can click paste special, and then these are all the different ways you could paste. So if you paste formulas, it's going to basically do the same thing we just did. It's going to insert the sum formula that I already did. If I do values, that's what we're going to use. Format is going to be, see where it's showing, the 1250 is showing when you have a $sign here and a comma and the 2 zeros. That's what it would do. It would copy the format only. It would copy no numbers, no formulas, or anything. Here you can, if you had a comment in here, you can copy that. That's most of them. Never really have any use for anything else. Transpose is nice, which we'll get to in a minute here. So we want to copy as and paste special as values. You'll hear that a lot. You'll hear paste special, and everybody uses that. So paste special is going to change it to there. So now it's here. It's a formula. See where it says equal sum, whatever, and here it changed to 1250. Now you're saying, hey, it's not the same thing because it doesn't have dollars in there. So if you wanted to, one thing you can do is you can right click and you can go copy, and then you can right click here. Remember how we were talking about you can paste formats? So this will paste the format because that's what you care about. I mean, this is the same number. The 1250 here is the same 1250 here, but the format is different. So it says, whoa, what is this? But that's because this column is bigger than this column. So whenever you see these pound signs, that means you have to expand your column width, which we just talked about earlier in our video. So I double click that and expand my column. There we go, there's our 1250. Same number, different way. Or if I wanted to undo that, so let's say back to the 1250 here. One thing you can do is if you wanted to copy the format. So you see on the home tab, see this little button right here? It's Format Painter. This little icon, this is pretty useful. Use it pretty frequently. So you highlight the cell that you want, then you hit the format, highlight the cell of the format that you want, and then you hit Format Painter, and then you click on the place where you want it to format, change the format, and there you go, there's your 1250. So that's a quicker way to do it. And you know me, I'm all about efficiency, being quick. So those are different ways you can copy and paste. So, or you can use this symbol up here, but this is the slower way. You can do copy, and then you can click paste also. So if I wanted to copy here, let's say I'll use the buttons up here. This is the copy button, and if I go over here, and I can just hit this button up here, which is paste. You see how it says Control V next to it, paste, and then Control V next to it. That's the shortcut. And this is the same way as when I was doing the right click, and that's what this button is right here, paste. So again, I can just go to copy here and then paste here. And again, this is when you paste, it's pasting it as a formula, because that's what it is here. It's a formula here, it's a formula here. All right, and now let's say you have some data here, and this is very useful. Saves you a lot of time, guaranteed. So let's see with some numbers on it. Okay, so I have 1 through 10, and let's say for some reason I wanted to move this, and I want, oh shoot, it's going down. I wanted it to go sideways, and you're like, oh crap, how do I change that quickly? And again, if I'm dealing with only 10 here, it's not that hard to change it to go sideways, but it is if you have a lot of data. So what you do is you highlight all the data you want to change. You right click, you go to copy, and then wherever you want to move it. Let's say I want to move from here and I want to start here in B2. I right click, go to paste special, transpose is the word. So transpose is going to move from up and down, it's going to move it to sideways. So horizontal to vertical to horizontal, or you could do it backwards. So transpose, and see what just happened? I took this data and went sideways with it. And if I wanted to take this 1 through 5, I can do it the other way, like I said. Right click, paste special, transpose. and now it's going down with the 1 through 5. So very useful tool. Make sure if you are using a formula and you wanted to keep it. So once I copied this, if these are formulas or something, you be careful when you do transpose. Most of the time you do values because you want to paste them as values probably. So I do that. This is just this changed to $1 because we had $1 here before I deleted it. So don't worry about that. That's just sheet formatting. And now that is how you paste special. Let's do a quick next topic will be find replace. So let's say I have a whole bunch of data here. Let me use this as an example. So let's say I wanted to take, let's see, who do I have in common here? So I have Mike. Mike's in common. There's 2 Mikes on this sheet. And I wanted to change the word Mike. I want to change Mike to, we'll call it Joe. So what I would do is I can highlight anywhere on the sheet I want, or you can highlight the whole sheet. It really doesn't matter for this purpose. But what I like to do when I'm doing find and replace is highlight only the section that I know it's in. So I'll highlight just this. So column A. So I'm going to hit Control H. That's what I use for find and replace. Or if you are not comfortable using the shortcuts, let's see where it's at in here. Here it is. Now, under the Home tab, farthest right icon, find, and then I'm going to do a replace. Well, first we'll do a find. So let's see, hey, Mike. If I want to search for the word Mike in here, there it is. It highlights. I hit find next, it'll give me the next record of it. If I ever hit this, and then it'll just keep bouncing to the next Mike over and over and over. So I have 3 Mikes on this page. If I hit find all over here, this is going to list down here every single cell reference. So at A9 there's a Mike, A9, A5, and A30 there's a Mike, and this is the book. So this is nice to have if you ever wanted to find out how many times you reference something on a sheet or where it is. And so the reason I said I wanted to highlight just this, so when we do my find replace, I'll highlight this again. So find, and then I'm going to go to replace. So it says find what? I want to, it's going to find the word Mike. And what do you want to change it to? And I said I want to change to Joe. All right. And then if you hit replace, it'll replace it 1 by 1, which you could do, but I want to replace them all. So I'm going to replace all. It's going to say, hey, we found 3 replacements. So very good idea to check that. Make sure that you know about what number to expect, because sometimes if you didn't highlight this properly, if you didn't highlight just A, and let's just say I'm gonna undo that. So see my word Joe's here. They just went back to Mike because I undid it. So now let's say I wasn't highlighted over here, and I did the same find replace. This will, right now in this example, this will give me the same answer. It's going to change out 3. Problem with that is, when you realistically use this as a real life example, maybe for what you're using it for, here's a good example. I'll do a find of 1, 2. So you'll see this in every single department number, 1, 2. And I'm going to change it to a 1, let's change to 9, 9. So this should give me, it gives me 19. And that's the right answer. So here's a better example. If I were to replace 1, 2 and find the word 19 and put it with 99, now if I replace, it changed 20. Now first I'm going to check to say, hey, okay, this is the only place where it should be 1, 2 because I'm changing the department numbers only. But hey, when I do a count here, I counted 19 cells. So where else did it change? It changed something else. And look, if you see this 9900 right there, it changed this. So very important to make sure you only highlight the cells that you know the number is in that you want to change, or the text, or whatever it is. Because if you don't highlight anything, it can be changing more than you want to. Like a change, just because there's a 1, sure there's a 1, 2 here, but because of this, it's got a 1, 2 here also. And now you're saying, so it's going to change that too. So now you're saying, oh, Mike, well, how do I change that? So, but I don't know where, maybe I don't know where it's at. Maybe one way you can do it, there's always different ways. And if you have a question, feel free to shoot me a message and I can take a look. But let's say I didn't want to highlight this just for whatever reason, and I wanted to change it also and do the 1, 2, but I don't want to get 20 records like this. I wanted to get my same 19 records. Okay, well then I would recommend, instead of changing 1, 2, make it unique and say 0, 1, 2, and change it to 0, 99. This way I'll get my 19 again, because this is what I want. I only want these affected. And the reason why this didn't change is because there's no 0 in front of this 1, 2. It sees the 1, 2, but doesn't care because it's looking for 0, 1, 2, which was only in the department. See 0, 1, 2? And there's no 0, 1, 2 here. So a lot of things you can do like that.
Quick reminder to everybody to make sure that if you know of a better way to be doing things than what I'm showing here, maybe you know of another trick which maybe I didn't mention. Again, I'm trying to focus on 90% of the Excel work, but if you know a quick little thing that I didn't show, or that maybe makes it more efficient than what I'm currently showing, definitely speak out in the comments. Let me know, because you help me, you help everybody else out too. All right, same time. So thanks for watching.